Welcome back to French Action and a warm welcome if you are new to this channel. Do you know how to use verbs such as to wish, to forbid, to demand, etc.? And they are called verbes de volonté and they are divided into 3 categories. If you don't, then keep watching. Vous êtes prêts? C'est parti! The first category represents verbs expressing wishes. So let's look at the most common verb de volonté, and I'm starting with aimer, which means to like or to love. And I'm sure you know already how to use aimer. J'aime le chocolat. I like chocolate. And if you want to use a verb, you may say something like j'aime danser. Mais je préfère chanter. So we have aimer and préférer. I like dancing, but I prefer singing. But this is not the use I am thinking of. When I'm talking about the verb de volonté, I would like you to think of aimer in a different way, where it means I would like, as opposed to just I like. So you'll have to use the verb j'aimerais, which is the conditional of aimer. J'aimerais boire un chocolat chaud. I would like to drink a hot chocolate. Since we talked about aimer, I thought that I would give you the opposite, which is détester, to hate, and the structure is the same. Je déteste le chocolat. I hate chocolate. Je déteste chanter. I hate singing. So nothing different in terms of the structure. My next verb is souhaiter, which means to wish. And you know it already because you say je te souhaite un joyeux anniversaire. I wish you a happy birthday. But now I would like you to think of this verb in a different way. Je souhaite clôturer mon compte bancaire, for example. I wish to close my bank account. So here you can see that it's a direct verb and you just say je souhaite plus the verb you wish to use in the infinitive form. The next one is désirer. I'm sure you can guess, to desire. Désirer. Je désire une voiture. I really want a car. And if we are using another verb, je désire acheter une voiture, there's nothing between désirer and acheter. Je désire acheter une voiture. And of course, don't forget to put the infinitive form at the end of acheter by putting er. Now, let's look at the verbs expressing the order. Another verb which you might know already, which is vouloir, to want. I have to say vouloir is very irregular in any tense. So, je veux un ordinateur. I want a computer. Je veux un ordinateur. And if you use another verb next to vouloir here, you could say je veux acheter un ordinateur. I want to buy a computer. So make sure that you have your infinitive form at the end of acheter. But you have to agree with me that je veux is quite pushing. I want. Now, how about saying I would like? Je voudrais un ordinateur pour Noël. And this way you may get it. Je voudrais un ordinateur pour Noël. I would like a computer for Christmas, which is the equivalent to j'aimerais, which we used a bit earlier. And with the verb, it's the same thing. You add your infinitive form. Je voudrais acheter un ordinateur. The next verb is the verb exiger, which means to demand. Be careful because we have a verb which is demander with er at the end, and it doesn't mean the same thing. So it's a false friend. So be careful. So you could say here, j'exige une excuse. I demand an apology. And as you can see, there's nothing between exige and une excuse. So now we have the verb recommander. Be careful for the spelling. In English, there is another E at recommander. So you have 3 E's, whereas in French, it's only 2. So be careful, okay? So recommander, to recommend, and we can say, je te recommande 3 heures de français par semaine. I recommend 3 hours of French per week, or I recommend that you have 3 hours of French per week. Now watch what happens when I put another verb. Je te recommande d'étudier après la classe. I recommend that you study after the class. So here you're just going to put your D apostrophe, but the other person is mentioned as an object pronoun here. Je te recommande. Okay, it always comes before the first verb. So, je te recommande d'étudier après la classe. The next verb is proposer, which is to propose. So, we could have something like, je propose une sortie à la plage. I am proposing an outing to the beach. Now, if you are doing this, like the outing, but to somebody, so you are suggesting or you're proposing an outing, you could say something like, je te propose de sortir ce soir. Ce soir means tonight. So be careful, je te propose, but don't forget the de between propose and sortir. And of course, I could have used a verb such as suggérer, which means to suggest. I could have said, je suggère une sortie à la plage. It would have worked the same way. My next verb is demander. Be careful, guys. Demander means to ask for and not to demand. Okay? So I could say something like, je demande une bouteille d'eau. I am asking for a bottle of water. So here it's very simple. Nothing between demander and une. But watch what happens when we have another verb. Je te demande de boire beaucoup d'eau. I am asking you to drink a lot of water. And my last verb for this category is ordonner, which is to give an order. Le policier lui ordonne de s'arrêter. The policeman gives him the order to stop. And stop, obviously, we are thinking of a car, okay? So a person is driving and the policeman really gives him the order to stop the car. Le policier lui ordonne de s'arrêter. So you have to be very careful because some verbs will not have a preposition like de, okay? And others will. So it is important that you really learn the verbs which take the prepositions so that you don't miss it out. Otherwise, it would be a mistake. And with the last category, we will be looking at verbs expressing anything which is forbidden. La défense. There are 2 verbs for to forbid, défendre ou interdire. So I put them here together because either can be used. Je te défends de sortir après 23 heures, or je t'interdis de sortir après 23 heures. Really is the same thing. Okay? So you're not allowed to go out after 11 p.m. That's what it says. So don't forget the de after défendre and interdire when there's another verb. And finally, the verb refuser, which is to refuse. Example, je refuse les cookies sur Internet. I refuse cookies on the Internet. Now, if I'm going to use the verb, I'm going to remember to put the DE, and that is going to give us je refuse d'accepter les cookies sur Internet. And here I'm going to have a D apostrophe because accepter begins with a vowel. By the way, the cookies I'm talking about are not cakes. I'm sure you gathered that. We're going to have a similar structure with accepter. J'accepte les cookies sur Internet. J'accepte de travailler mon français tous les jours. Let's go through a quick recap. So the verbs which we have seen are aimer, which is to like, détester, to hate, préférer, to prefer, souhaiter, to wish, vouloir, to want, and désirer, to really want. And all these verbs do not require the preposition de after it. So I've just remind you that you would use the verb aimer, for example, followed by another verb in the infinitive form without the de. Here, be careful. Proposer, recommander, demander, ordonner, défendre, interdire, and refuser are followed by de plus a verb in the infinitive form if you use the verb. Of course, if you don't use a verb but a noun is directly placed before the noun. I would like to draw your attention to some additional uses. Another thing I would like to say, be careful with vouloir. If you say je te veux, it's I want you, and we're talking about sexually, so be careful. Now, if you want to say I would like you to do something, this is different. We're going to have what is called the subjunctive. So all the verbs which we have used so far, like aimer, détester, préférer, souhaiter, désirer, which are verbs wishing, something you want to do. You may want somebody to do something for you. Well, you can do it, but you'll have to use a que and then the subjunctive. But I'm not going into that because it's not the purpose of this video. So that would be for another time. And the subjunctive will also work with all those verbs like proposer, suggérer, recommander, demander, ordonner, défendre, interdire, and refuser. But as I said, this will be another video. We have come to the end of this video. I hope that you found it very useful. And if you did, then please like it and share it with members of your family or friends. And don't forget to subscribe. And a big thank you if you have subscribed to French Action. Au revoir!